Now, this is a video I've been meaning to do for a while now. Almost 3 months back, I had this title that came up. Should I trust my gut, my heart, or my brain? Which one of those is the one to follow, right? And the reason I didn't film it at that time is because I wanted the video to be as authentic as possible. I didn't want to give you guys a regurgitation of somebody else's experience. I don't want to give you something that was he said, right? Something that happened out there. Instead, I wanted to be a personal experience, something I know, something I understand, as opposed to something I can conceptualize. And so I'm finally at a place where this video is not only relevant, but I believe will come from the most powerful place possible. And so again, the subject for today is, should I trust my heart, my gut, or my brain or my mind, right? We usually connotate the two together, but I'm going to just say brain for right now, because the mind, once we get into this, you'll realize is not actually located in the brain. Surprise, surprise. The mind is a lot more than just this processing machine up here. So for most of my life, I was the type of individual who would process information intellectually. I would intellectualize everything. I'm a very logical based, heady type of person. And this may seem like a brag or even a compliment coming from others or from myself, right? You're so intelligent, wow, you are so smart. And usually when we say this, we're referring to one aspect of ourselves, which is the brain, which is the storage unit up here. So when you're able to regurgitate information, you're seen as intelligent, especially in the Western side of the world. When you get into the East, there's more of an appreciation for the holistic aspect of a human, for every single aspect of what we are. But when we get into the Western world, everything is about the head, right? You are heady, then you are seen as somebody who is a leader, somebody who's intelligent, somebody who has some sort of upper hand basically in society. And I used to believe this to be a tool. I used to believe this to be something that would give me this quote unquote advantage in life that would allow me to succeed throughout my life, to give me the things that I desired most. And so when it comes to this question of what should I trust, that's what it really comes down to. We want to know which direction to take. We want to know which steps to make in order for us to step in the direction of success, right? As we all define it for ourselves individually. Hopefully you're not still clinging on to what everybody else sees as success, or what the television, or I don't know if you have a television at this point, but what your apps or your phones, your platforms, YouTube, whatever it may be communicating to you. Instead, hopefully you've come to a place where you can define success for yourself. Now, again, I was majoritively heady. I was logic based up until this point in my life, which should be an indicator as to what the answer is going to be within this specific video, right? Now, there's nothing wrong with being intellectual. As a matter of fact, that could be a great asset in many different ways, especially when it comes to aspiring towards what it is that you desire out of your life. However, what we oftentimes overlook is that this thing right here, the brain, is a tool and a mechanism used for a very specific purpose, and it's not the purpose we believe it is created for. Now, I don't know if you guys know who Prince is. Hopefully you do, and you're tapped into some sort of history, right? Prince was one of the all-time greatest musicians, and he essentially has this quote where he said, I've learned to use the brain for what it's intended for, which is a storage unit, and the heart for what is intended for, which is decision making. So I'm gonna run that back one more time. I've learned to use the brain for what it's intended for, which is a storage unit, and the heart for what it's intended for, which is to think. Now, that sounds backwards to most of us. We're thinking to ourselves, well, no. The brain is what we use to think. The brain is the one that holds information and is intelligent. It's the form of intelligence. Like, that is where intelligence is stored. Not understanding what science is even proving now, right? In a multitude of different fields of science, that the heart not only has an intelligence, but is an intelligence. And there is a communication of information taking place with the heart every single moment of the day. So when we say follow the heart, or when, old mystics, old wise masters and gurus talked about the following of the heart, there was something they were understanding about the ability for the heart to recognize. So the brain has a capacity to get to a place where it thinks or processes information, right? And the brain has a capacity to believe. So it can regurgitate an idea over and over until it buys into that idea and has a conviction around it. Whereas the heart has the ability to know. Now, the difference between believing and knowing is a world of difference, right? If you're believing, it means that that belief can shift based and dependent upon new information. However, knowing is simple as that. Knowing is rooted in truth. This is what it is. And so the heart literally has the ability to know. Now, I understand that many of us are raised with this belief system that the heart is this thing that is deceitfully wicked, or this heart does not, this heart will mislead us. What we're really confusing it with is actually what the brain is doing, right? It's the brain body connection. So when we have stored memories or stored ideas, stored ideologies, belief systems, programs, etc., that we're now projecting as the heart, right? So you say, I'm following my heart, but really what you're following is some sort of programming, some sort of conditioning. Let's say you were raised in a household or in an environment where you saw toxic relationships. And so that was a normal dynamic. And so you've begun to attract these sort of relationships into your life because that's the belief system that you are most accustomed to. That's the program. And so if you're programmed to view those relationships as anything besides toxic and destructive, if you view them as something that is maybe even desirable due to, again, your habitual thinking, then you may say, I'm following my heart, when in truth, you're not following your heart. Your heart is closed off, and what you're following is an emotional impulse, right? An emotional impulse that is produced by the thoughts that you think. Because all emotions, all feelings are byproducts of the thoughts that we're thinking. So you may be used to connotating or connecting anxiety thoughts or anxiety feelings with something positive, right? Some people think that anxiety in a relationship is passion or excitement or butterflies, when in truth, it is exactly what it says it is. It's anxiousness. It's stress on the body. And if you're used to that stress, you're addicted to that stress, then you will probably see it as a familiar state or familiar place. And if you're seeking familiarity continuously because you're staying in that program, if you're continuously not breaking the cycle of your old thought patterns, your old belief systems, you will continue to perpetuate the very thing that is the most destructive or toxic to you. So again, this is not to say that the brain is the problem. The brain is just doing what it does. It stores information. It is a storing unit. It is a processing system. It is a processing mechanism, but it was never intended to guide our now present decisions. Now, I'm going to take this a little deeper. I know we already went deep today because we're really taking a deep dive. This ain't no play type of content, right? We get deep. Y'all know. The ones who know. So the heart is an intelligence system, or the heart is a form of receiver as well as an emitter of intelligence, of information. So what exactly is it giving and receiving information with, right? What is it, just going out into wherever, into the abyss, into the atmosphere, into the ether? Technically, no. It is going to what they refer to as the quote unquote field, right? If you get into quantum physics or quantum mechanics, they talk about the field. Scientists have come to know this thing as a field. What most of us have called God or source or the all, or I call infinite intelligence because it's the most clear cut for me. That's what the heart is communicating with. So the heart has full access to infinite intelligence. Now think about this. If you're making a decision, would you want to trust the thing that is operating from the past and its own belief systems, its own programs, basically, right, off of things that have already happened? Or do you want to tap into something that has every single answer possible? Now, I don't know about y'all. I really don't. You do you, you're grown. But as far as me and mine, I will forever go with infinite anything. Infinite intelligence is infinite intelligence, meaning it knows every which way and every which thing and exactly how to get to those things, those people, places, circumstances, situations, and conditions. This is why they say follow the heart. The heart is communicating with the field, the infinite intelligence, source of life. So it is getting a direct communication with all the answers. And so it literally has all the answers. Now, again, I'm not talking about your feelings per se, right? I'm not talking about the angst and the stress and things of that nature. It's truly when you connect to that space, which is by shedding those old limiting beliefs, shedding those programs, and shedding those destructive and toxic behavioral patterns, or mental behaviors, mental patterns, thought processes, whatever it may look like. It's once you start shedding those that you allow the heart to communicate more clearly, like an open channel, right? Or like a radio station. Once you tune yourself, and that's the purpose of your thinking, your thoughts. You direct your thoughts onto higher things, which is higher energetic things, higher frequency thoughts, gratitude, love, bliss, passion, acceptance, joy, power, freedom. When you start to look upward in that way, not in the physical sense, you ain't got to look up and have your neck all up. No, it's about going inward and tapping into those states of being. Once you can connect with that and shed everything else, and it will happen naturally, trust me. If you were just to shed those worry thoughts and let them go and stop clinging on to them, stop clinging on to the old thought patterns that you have been so in love with, when you let those go, peace will rise inevitably, because peace is your natural state of being. And from that place, the higher vibrational emotions, or high vibrational states of being, energy and motion, which is what emotion actually represents or stands for in its true context, those will naturally arise. You'll naturally find yourself being in that high vibrational state. And so again, when you are in that state, you have clarity, you have certainty, you have absolute security. We seek ways in which we can comfort ourselves, or ways in which we can find safety and security in the external, not understanding that all the answers are actually within ourselves. Not understanding that the certainty we seek is actually within, that we don't need to find some sort of external safety or security. The reason why we create circumstances and situations in our physical reality that are undesired, or those things that we try to run from or create security around, is because we're entertaining states of being, of fear, of worry, of concern, of paranoia, of angst, you name it. You name it. Greens, beans, potatoes, tomatoes. We are continuously putting ourselves in alignment with those dense energies that are keeping us at that low vibrational state, that are basically murkying the signal for us to actually have clear guidance. We're supposed to forever have clear guidance, a clear channel of communication. Like I talk to folks and I tell them, I don't write my content. I am a channel to it. They think, oh my God, he must be, talking to some kind of entities. No, I'm simply an open vessel, as you may say, right? Religious folk might say a vessel. I'm channeling information in the same way that you do when you turn on a channel, a television channel, right? You are tuning into a certain frequency and you're receiving that message. And so that's what I do when I create like this. And so that's what we're looking for when we're, again, looking for answers in our lives. Tune yourself. And again, how do I tune myself? By shifting the focus of my thought process. It all starts in the unseen. It all starts in the quote unquote thought realm. Now, again, thought is not brain, right? Or mind is not brain. As a matter of fact, I believe in Mandarin or Cantonese, one of the two. I had a buddy who was telling me that in the Chinese language, mind is the same as heart, right? And even biblically it says, as a man thinketh in his heart. Think about that. Thinketh in your heart, right? So thought, which you cannot see, is happening from a heart space. And the heart does not necessarily mean this thing that is pumping in your chest. This is a representation, but it is the center of life, right? That's what we mean when we say heart. The heart is the center of life. It is the center of your being. It is your very essence, your core. And so that place is where decisions are already clear. Life is already clear. That's why we have the ability to, again, tune our states of being. When you're in a state of passion, when you're in a state of bliss, when you're doing things that you love so deeply, you feel that visceral opening of the heart space. When you allow love in and allow love to flow through you continuously, you can't help but feel that state, that invigorated state. That is life. That is the heart in operation, because again, it's connected to infinite source. There's no fear. There's no hesitation, because you know the perfect way every time. So what is my answer? What do you trust? Me? As far as me and mine? I'll be trusting the heart because that one actually has the true source of intelligence. And I will use the brain, as Prince once said, I will use the brain for what it's intended for, a storage unit. And I'm kicking out any thoughts, ideas, programs that do not align with my highest good, period.